So back in San Antonio with another great friend of the show, Bob Bishop.
Hey, Jason.
Bob, this is the first time we're meeting in person.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Everybody remembers when you came on the show with George Rodriguez. You guys have been coming down here to the Migrant Center in San Antonio. Tell us what's going on. Where are we?
Right now we're in front of
sorry. Just right there.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Right now we're in front of the shopping center where a lot of the migrants come. It's right across the street. And we're in front of the Cricket store, which is interesting is that I talked to the Cricket manager.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that she told me, Jason, is that some of the people that come in here and buy the crickets, the migrants, they'll come in and spend $100 bills buying.
What?
Yeah, $100 bills buying their phones. Now, a lot of the phones are given to them as well by various agencies, charities, and the U.S. government, but some of them come in here and buy custom phones. And they even had a little kiosk out front where they're trying to get people to come into the store. A lot of these stores through here, Jason, they have a lot of problems with shoplifting, and it's kind of hurt their business. Now,
wow.
One of the things interesting, look at this, you got this foot spa. I'm sure they could recruit here for the foot spa real good, don't you think?
Well, but no, this is a serious Chinese practice of reflexology. They're not hiring just anybody.
Well, you never. Well, there could be other things.
That's okay.
You know,
at
the end of the day.
I got it.
Tax service, they don't need that.
No.
But you come through here, generally they have to spend a lot of time cleaning up because typically it's like a third world country. They throw their bottles
There's
and
the
everything.
cops.
Yeah, they kind of sit around here kind of as a deterrent. Now, one of the interesting things is the police only guard the front entrance now. They have a security team.
Of what? Of this mall?
Well, of the Migrant Center. But they do cruise the parking lot, try to act as a deterrent, for loitering.
But it doesn't look like there's a lot of people at this mall. I mean, maybe it's not shopping time.
Don't forget it's Sunday, 6 o'clock.
Right.
So
But even
typically
so,
you'd see cars parked here.
you would think that, I guess they're all closed here, so.
Yeah.
What would you say is the nature of this neighborhood? Is this an upscale neighborhood?
Well, what it is in the 60s and 70s, this was an upscale neighborhood, but typically, like most cities, everything goes to the suburbs and goes north. So this has kind of seen its better days 30 to 40 years ago. So, but there are gentrification going on in some of the neighborhoods around here, which is pretty typical you see in cities as
Alien
well.
Worlds is out of business. Who could have anticipated that?
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Do you know?
I think it was some type of game store.
It's like
Yeah, they were in business and they're out.
because you got a comic book store, right? Oh, wait, they moved. There it is. It's the comic book store.
Oh, is it?
So the DVD exchange went out of business in the
Yeah.
Alien store. Maybe they know people in New Mexico. But I mean, this is on its way to becoming a wreck if it's not already.
Yeah, now one of the things the migrants do is you look up at the corner, you see HEB, that's a Texas grocery store. They all go up there and buy liquor. So they've had a lot of issues with them. And the interesting thing is, you got to be 21 to buy liquor, then what about their IDs?
Yeah, how are they showing?
Yeah, I don't understand that,
Where is HEB there?
It's
there
right
it
up
is,
there
yeah.
next to the stoplight.
Now, Big Lots is what? It's like Walmart, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a reseller of a lot of retail stuff, so a lot of them come here and they get blankets, they get soap, they get other
a whole
types
sofa.
of things the migrants do. They've had a problem with shoplifting, obviously.
Right. Wow. You're not in Texas if you don't bring your pickup truck
Yeah, definitely.
and park it on the sidewalk.
Well, you look at that one right there. You'd have
gigantic.
to have a ladder to get into it.
It does. Look, it has
I mean,
steps on the side.
It's crazy.
You don't want to get hit by this.
And then you got this other one. Look at it's all tooled out with 22-inch rims.
Well, this is kind of more of like a low rider.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of expect it in this area here.
Huh. So, I mean, people get something of a sense for this is not, it's a different type of shopping experience than the Grove in Los Angeles, for instance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not, Bloomingdale's and
Now,
Bergdorf Goodman.
one of the things I want to point out is you see that Ace Cash Express
Yeah.
up there where they use this microfinance app for cash called MoneyGram. And so a lot of the migrants that have money, particularly the Cubans who get backed by U.S. family members,
Right.
they come in here with their MoneyGram and they get cash. So a lot of them are using this as a method of moving the money around when
Wow.
they travel through Central
Whoa,
America.
wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that Ace is the same company that had a check cashing business in Minneapolis, you know, where, what's his name? George Floyd was trying to pass $20 bills.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what the hell is going on with Ace Cash Express?
Well, they work with the microfinance apps, particularly MoneyGram, and so if you're in Cuba, you can actually move money around, and then you can come here and get U.S. dollars out. It's
Wow.
crazy, but it's how they get a lot of their money. At least the ones that have financial backing.
And do the authorities know about this, Bob?
Oh, sure. We've actually had them come up and ask us where the Ace store was at when we
Really?
talked to the migrants.
The migrants ask you that?
Yeah, and we go right
Because
over
they know
here
that's the spot to...
to get the money.
Holy cow.
Yeah. But we've got kind of a bifurcation, Jason, of the migrants. Some of them are just dirt poor and destitute, but we do get some that have a lot of money. They're kind of middle class. You can tell the way they're dressed, their jewelry, their luggage, those type of things.
Huh.
But by and large, most of the migrants are destitute. They don't have a penny to their name. They don't speak English. Basically, they're illiterate. So, and they don't have any particularly job skills, vocational skills. Basically it's manual labor, cleaning hotel rooms, those type of things.
But actually, there's a huge decrease in the number of those jobs, because as I'm traveling around from hotel to hotel, they're no longer making the room every day. I don't mind, but I've spoken to some people at hotels about it, and they say, yeah, far fewer jobs for people who are doing that.
Yeah, they do that for the Green Initiative,
Right.
where you keep your
and COVID.
towels and you keep your,
No, that they still clean the room, but they allow you to choose if they want to do the towels or not. They just, since COVID, have been saying, hey, by the way, we're no longer offering daily housekeeping service, and if you want it, you got to call downstairs and they'll send somebody.
Yeah, here's a group coming up on us there.
And do any of the migrants you've encountered speak English? Those look like very young people.
Yeah, the only one that we've met that spoke English was a Cuban, and he had a girlfriend in New York City, and that's where he was headed to.
Wow.
Yeah, the Cubans are very prized by the cartels. And
Why is that?
Well, they have family members in the U.S. that have money that are financing them. So a lot of them fly from Cuba to Nicaragua, which is $4,000
What?
per passenger. So that's a lot of money.
I
and
agree.
then to use the cartel, a lot of them will use buses and other types of things to get up here and get preferential treatment by the cartels. Now, we did interview a lady and her son from Cuba, and they got kidnapped because they've got money as Cubans.
Wow.
So
Kidnapped in the process of coming here.
yeah, and
So here we hear that everybody's saying, oh, they're escaping oppression. No, it's the process of trying to escape that seems to get them all tangled up
now
with
one of-
trouble. Look,
yeah,
the
one
cops
of
are
the-
mobilizing.
Huh.
It doesn't seem like this is helping business in this shopping.
No, they've been on the news here in the local news complaining about it. So it makes for a difficult situation because a lot of them will come in here because of the heat during the day and they want to cool off,
Air
so they'll
conditioning,
walk
right.
into the store.
No, wait, is that the cops?
No, that's the security that they try to keep
The
the
texting
loiterers.
had me confused. I was taken
Yeah.
back to New York. I figured that must be the police. So this is going beyond pizza here. CC's. It's pizza and French toast. So people don't get upset if we record them?
Oh, heck no. Don't worry about it.
Beautiful day. So everybody just hangs out here all day.
Yeah, well, if you're inside the the Migrant Center, the problem you got is the air conditioner's so cold they're not used to having, the air conditioner at 72 degrees. They don't even like to sleep in it. They give them an aluminum blanket. A lot of them will come out here and sleep outside at night.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
they hate air conditioning.
yeah. Now, we used to have a sign here. They had a curfew that was from 10 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning, and they lifted the curfew. We caught them moving the sign one day, and we asked them why, and they said, no, we lifted the curfew, which is kind of interesting.
Why would they do that? I mean, what is everybody here doing? They're just milling around a parking lot all day? What kind of life is this?
Well, they're only supposed to be here 3 days, Jason. So a lot of them are just getting out and socializing. Now,
3 days, and then what happens?
They're supposed to be off to the airport or a bus station.
Send them to New York.
Yeah, and send them to New York. Unfortunately, the governor doesn't come here, but one of the things I want to point out to you, Jason, is if you look at the buses over there, you see that yellow school bus?
Oh, yeah.
There's such a shortage of buses. When they first started all this, they used coach buses that were air conditioned, that were really nice, but there's such a shortage of buses now with the situation with the volume that they're getting these old buses that are 50 and 60 years old and refurbishing them and using them now to move around the migrants. So that's an old school bus.
Wow. And it was 95 about an hour ago.
Yeah. And the temperature's starting to drop. You'll see as the sun goes down, we'll have a lot of food trucks out here. It'll look like little Caracas. They'll go down to HEB.
Not in a good way.
I don't know. We came out here one time to get a flavor for it, but it's a little different. We didn't fit in, obviously. But what I'd like to do is take you over there where we can get a better shot.
We should also remind people that you've got a YouTube channel where you are covering this problem extensively. You've made a number of videos interviewing a lot of people here, and people can just search for Bob Bishop on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description of the video. We're heading up here, or where we want to go?
We're just right here, see, so we can't go inside after that.
That makes a lot of sense.
But you get a lot of the buses, they have those mini buses that shuttle them to the airport. So typically how this thing comes alive is between 10 and 1 o'clock during the day, go into the bus stations as well as go into the airport. And they have all these mini buses going in and out of here, which is kind of interesting.
Now, is this the cops here driving a Raptor?
Well, it's probably his own personal vehicle.
But that is the cops, right, guarding this?
Well, all they're trying to do is make sure people have the bands. They have a band on the wrist, and they show what day.
I mean, but the question is, if it's private property, why are the cops guarding it?
Well, to, I guess, maintain control. Now, the history on this is real interesting on this private property, per se. I did an article on Gateway Pundit. What happened is it was a city public service for, our utility company. When they sold the building in November for $5.2 million, what made it interesting is that it was bought by this one company where we had a situation with almost $4 million cash put into the deal. And the individuals are from Monterrey, Mexico. So it kind of makes you wonder, where do you get $4 million for a 60-year-old building in a decayed commercial
Isn't that
area?
one of the oldest tricks in the book, to pay somebody way more for an asset than it's worth?
Well, I don't know, but they got the lease on this at $130,000 a month, and the lease can go as far as 10 years, which is stunning when you think about it.
That's pretty normal in New York.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, but maybe the influence of New York is here.
But I mean, who knows where the person who made the deal is from? But 10-year lease in New York is standard.
Yeah.
For a business.
Yeah. But you can see a lot of them out there on the tables and stuff like that. Generally, what they get is sandwiches. They get fruit.
Well, look at this. Why is this all-wheel drive Chrysler 300? Looks pretty fancy. Who are these people going in there?
They probably work here.
Huh.
And now a lot of the security's been outsourced to the Catholic Charities.
Right.
And they're providing the security. They have a secondary subcontractor doing it. So it's questionable if the security's very good inside there now. The police used to be in there, and the fire department. Watch this guy, Jason. Evidently, they told him he couldn't go in.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But he seems to be here looking for somebody.
Yeah, let's go across the street. I
Sure.
want to show you some stuff.
Hola. It's pretty grim over here. People don't look too pleased.
It depends on the circumstances. See, what happens, they cross a lot of times when it says not to cross. And if you look
Wow.
over here, Jason, this used to be on the other side and they moved it over here because there were so many people not pushing the button. We filmed them running across traffic.
Well, they might not understand.
It's typical
how it
like
works.
Venezuela, yeah.
We could purchase some advanced auto parts if you have any need for that. Bob.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but this is, just being serious for a moment, even when I pulled in here before you and I connected in the parking lot, it didn't bother me, but I definitely got the sense that unknown people hanging out in the parking lot and on the sidewalk, it definitely would intimidate certain people and cause them to choose to not come here, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. You know, one of the things is on the migrants, 70% of them are young male. Now, one of the reasons they're young male is the difficulty when they come from South America through the Darien Gap.
Yeah.
And we've had a number of interviewees tell us that they've seen massive amount of corpses laying in the ground. They die of cholera, they
Just
heat exhaustion.
falling and hurting yourself.
Yeah,
it's
things
treacherous
like
as hell.
that. Yeah, we had one guy that was in a group, and one of the guys in the group broke his leg, and they just left him. They said it was all of us or him. And so
I
they
mean, that's
left him.
kind of true.
You know, it was a survival of the fittest.
That's
Let's
right.
go across
You're in
the street
a definite
now.
survival situation, and you don't want to mess with that.
Now, a lot of them come over here and they get picked up by the day workers, you know,
Right.
for day work business.
Yeah, well, that's the new Home Depot, I guess.
But you know, you can see all the trash and
So
stuff
now, wait a
that
minute.
they
This
leave.
guy looks like he's not from South America.
See, here's the food trucks coming out at
Uh-huh.
night. I was telling you about. This thing will have several food trucks out here. And then look at all the trash that they leave here.
Wow.
Somebody was good enough to clean it up.
What is that? It's chips and sandwiches.
Yeah. They have a lot of do-gooders that give them food, drive up and hand them food.
This guy's got eyeballs all over me. He doesn't like the camera.
That's okay.
It just makes me wonder who he is and what he's doing here and what he's worried about being photographed. Wow. So, I mean, does this make you want to buy auto parts if you know that this scene is
Anyway,
happening over
this
here?
guy
Looks pretty
that
dangerous.
this guy that runs it is livid. He doesn't like him. This hurts his business. He's even told us that. Now they come over here, like this one guy here. He does haircuts for people.
He does what?
Haircuts.
Oh, right here?
Right here.
Wow, so he's got a business. There's a haircut place right across the street that he's taking
Yeah. Now
business
you
away
see
from.
you see these little black boxes.
Yes.
Those are rat traps.
Yeah, no,
because of all the
I know.
problems
From
that
New
they've got
York,
here.
I know that.
Now, we had an issue George and I pushed up, which eventually got the city to address it. This is a 2-acre little plot of land right back there. And a lot of them that had exhausted their 3 days, they had to stay somewhere, so they were camping out in this lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aha. So after 3 days, they had nowhere to go. They just came over here and they're just hanging out.
Yeah, if you haven't got any money, what are you going to do?
I mean, and that's just it. If you're totally idle sitting here in a parking lot, I mean, it's not like you're going to decide you're going to go take ballet lessons. It seems like a recipe for turning to crime once
Yeah,
you
and
become
they-
desperate and run out of money and food.
They had tents there, but luckily the city came in and cited them, and they had to come in and
Cited the
lock
parking
it.
lot.
Yeah, where they try to keep them out. But you can sit here as we go up. You can see the trash. Evidently, they still get through at night.
Well, of course. Look, you can see a hole right there. I mean, people are obviously climbing over right here.
Yeah. And one of the things that we noticed were the feces were unbelievable,
Oh
which
my
is pretty
God.
typical.
Well, and I mean, that's a health hazard.
Exactly. You know, and I even talked to somebody that works at the Border Patrol. They say a lot of these buses that they use, they'll take a dump right in the aisle.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So think about it. And now that individual was the one that was telling me about the cholera that they're seeing coming across the Rio Grande. You never hear that as far as the news media. Cholera is pretty serious business.
Of course.
I mean, it can kill you quickly.
And by the way, we've just been through a nearly 3-year exercise of getting yelled at about putting a piece of paper on your face because everybody's worried about their health. But that's fine. Just go shit on the sidewalk.
Yeah. But
Wow.
it's always interesting. We've got a lot of trash over here. I wonder what's in it. Yeah, we had one kid that we interviewed. He was stoned, so obviously they're doing pot at a minimum. We saw a drug deal the other day right in front of us, 10 feet away.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
but look at
welcome to
this.
New York.
Shoes.
I wouldn't touch anything in there. Ugh. Bob.
Well, what it is these do-gooders come out with boxes, and they just, whatever they don't
Can't
take, they just
sell.
throw it in the box.
But that seems like kind of useful shoes for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
But
See,
this thing was a mess. If you'd have been here 2 weeks ago, Jason, you'd just be like, wow, it's a settlement. It looks like Portland.
wow, but this is like Monday with Bob
Yeah.
instead of Sunday with Charles. You know, we're just walking around surveying. It's, I think, important for people to see, Bob, and when we present it like this, I think it has an impact that's vastly different than just some kind of, 30-second soundbite on the news where Fox is upset about it and
Well, yeah.
CNN is denying it.
You know, we get a lot of information. We interview a lot of these illegal aliens. And a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of soldiers coming over from Venezuela. Yeah, we've interviewed them.
I mean, that's crazy. They're basically paying for our own invasion.
Well, you know, and I get these do-gooders that say, oh, well, they can earn their citizenship being in our military. No, wrong. You
That
don't
doesn't
speak
sound like
English.
a good idea.
You know, it's
Let's invite all the traitors in?
Yeah. One guy was a deserter that we talked
Oh,
to.
great.
Another guy was a high-ranking military officer that stayed in hotels and got chauffeured all the way through Mexico. So you know he had a lot of money.
What the hell? But that also sounds like they're sending someone to try to infiltrate the military.
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, this is the stupidest thing maybe ever.
Well, you know, they didn't have to put it here. The reason that they put in the Migrant Center, Jason, is that there were so many just stopping at the airport and sleep in the airport for days. And people were getting concerned, so they decided to open this Migrant Center. And the problem of it is it's right next to the residential area.
Well, and talk about that a bit, Bob. Has there been any
Well,
home invasions or any serious crimes?
well, a lot of them go and knock on the door, panhandling or looking
Oh
for
my
work.
God, that's pretty intimidating.
And then
in
we
your
had
home.
one lady that wouldn't interview with us.
That guy just covered his face when the camera turned his way.
Yeah.
That's not the behavior of somebody who has nothing to hide, is it?
See these right here? They're high level middle class migrants.
How can you tell?
The way they look, the way they dress, they don't have
Backpack.
tattoos, they've got jewelry on.
New sneakers, she's wearing Adidas. Yeah, good
I
point.
mean, you see that, they got money. So
Well-
you see that, and then you see the ones that
But
are just
so
look
what do
at-
you think that means? That's, I mean, Adidas, it's not like they're rich. I mean, maybe those shoes cost $50.
Yeah, but $50, you could be staying in a hotel down the street instead of on the street.
So what do you think's going on over there?
What, these guys here? They're
No,
just
no, that family that we just saw with the Adidas.
they're just walking around, probably going to the food truck.
But if they have money, why do you think they came in this way?
Huh?
If they have money, why would they come in this way? I mean, they must still be pretty destitute, no?
Well, you know, they don't want to wait for a visa. Why not cross the Rio Grande and get admitted?
Would you do that, though? That looked like a teenage daughter. That's a hell of a risk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got stories where they've been raped, the women. And we can go now.
I
But,
mean,
you know, the center here has kind of got ebbs and flows. Sometimes it gets real kinetic, and then it kind of dies off, and then it's real busy. They get a bus coming in, and they unload.
well, it's dramatic lighting for our shoot of this.
Yeah, with that sun setting. But you know, look at these young kids right here, Jason.
What are they going to do?
I mean, yeah. At the
And
end of the day,
they're wearing
thinking
masks.
that you brought them through the Darien Gap.
I can't believe that
They
kids
do.
like that made it.
And then one of the things that those that have money, a lot of them will fly to Monterey, believe it or not. And then that last 300 miles coming across the Rio Grande. They're also doing various cruises where they leave and they skip Panama and they go up to Veracruz, or they go to one of the different places on the coast there in Mexico, you know, where the resorts are at, which is incredible when you think about it.
So there do seem to be a lot of cars going in and out. What is that?
Well, that's a police officer right there
Huh.
in that car.
I guess it was the other guy's Raptor. So they're hiring off-duty police because it's not a police car.
Well,
So
you know what's interesting? You see that group over there? It's getting bigger that you and I looked at.
Right.
Which tells me that some do-gooder is going to come up with food and clothes to give to them. When you see that, it's like everybody files out of the center to get what they can.
I mean, I understand, right? They're in desperate condition. I mean, I don't blame these people here in the parking lot. I blame Joe Biden for enticing them to come and subjecting them to this, first of all, insane risk of coming here. And second of all, I mean, what a terrible condition everybody's in now that they're here. I mean, look at this. Everybody's on the phone.
Look at it. They were waiting for somebody to pick them up. Don't you find it interesting that the two women went and hugged those guys right there?
They must know them, obviously.
I don't know.
They look like long-lost family. There's a strong embrace.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, Bob. I mean, what is going on here exactly?
Well, one of the interesting things is that
that guy's got an organic farmer's market bag. That's got to be a Texas local. He's wearing a mask.
Yeah,
He's working here.
Yeah, evidently. Look at this. They bring the balloons, Jason. You always see that. Welcome to the U.S.
Wow.
You can
what
zoom in on that. Yeah.
Here in the parking lot.
You know, odds are we find that a lot of them are Cuban, though, because they got Cuban relatives.
Right.
So Venezuela is the first generation where they're coming to the U.S., so they don't have any family or friends or sponsors. But the Cubans, they got a lot of family members and friends and other things. And they always bring out the American flag. They're Cuban, evidently. We've
These
interviewed
guys?
enough of them.
Those guys look dangerous.
Yeah, they look like they may be homeless.
Maybe Texas
We got
guys
some,
who are
yeah, we got
just-
some homeless through this area too.
Man, Bob, I'll tell you.
Oh, this is nothing. There's some days it's just packed. They have up to 700 people that go into that migrant center and stay for capacity. Now, there's an interesting story is the mayor was stupid enough to put on his Facebook, which I found, a picture of New Yorkers here in town August the 24th.
Wow.
So
Coming
what
here?
Never went into the migrant center. So what I did is I did an Open Records Act and got the agenda and
you told me that,
emails and some documents. So what's interesting is tomorrow the DA is going to be in a debate with the Republican DA, and he's going to bring up, oh, you had secret meetings with New Yorkers, but you guys didn't even go visit the migrant
Wow.
center. So it's going to be
you facilitated that.
through George.
That's
George
amazing. That's
knows
very
the
well
hood
done,
about
Bob.
it. So he's going to raise hands. So look at these external influences we had. Soros gave the DA a lot of money, gave him $1 million in the last election.
Wow.
So he doesn't want any bail or small bail. So we have a lot of crime. We've had 9 cops commit suicide this year already.
Wow.
Which statistically doesn't make sense.
No, that's got to be, how big is the entire force?
About 1,200.
Wow, that's a huge percentage.
Oh, if you look at it, it's definitely huge. So the cops are under a lot of pressure, you know, when they go and arrest somebody and do a report and then there's no bail and they release them. Our murder rate is at historic levels just like every other democratic city. I mean, it's horrendous. Crime is up, rapes are up,
Wow.
car break-ins, things like that. The only thing that we're missing that New York has is carjackings. We haven't had those yet.
Right.
Soon to come.
Well, it's because the cars are driving too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, plus you got a big pickup truck.
Man, I'll tell you, Bob, it's
You
very
want to
distressing.
walk over there and just kind
Sure,
of
yeah.
catch them? They don't care if they're on film, trust me.
Yeah, the cops are just down there kind of probably texting somebody.
Yeah. They've actually been pretty decent with us. They won't go on camera, but they'll talk to
But
us.
those are the actual cops. These are the off-duty hired cops.
Well, they're overtime cops.
But if the guy's got his Raptor and the other guy left in a Chrysler, wouldn't they be in cop cars if they were on duty?
I don't know. They're working overtime. That's what they're doing. They're not on regular
Wow.
shift. See, they're Cuban. See the flag?
Oh, yeah.
So you see this a lot with the Cubans. And they look a lot physically different than the Venezuelans or the Guatemalans or the
Different
Nicaraguans.
heritage,
Huh?
Different heritage, right?
Yeah, different heritage. Yeah, more European stock. So, and they're generally pretty friendly to deal with. But once they get on U.S. soil, they're here
Right.
at the end of the day.
A lot of activity here. We got
Yeah.
a Porsche. If you're gonna illegally migrate, do it in style.
Yeah. See the wristband on that young man coming up here on his
Yeah.
right wrist? That tells them how many days they get to stay. So the cops are supposed to make sure everybody has a wristband or they're authorized to work in there, and that's all they do here at the entrance.
Seems like everybody's got pretty nice new cars.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of really strange activity here. So we've got the school bus just sort of parked over there,
Yeah.
relaxing.
But, you know, with all of them accumulating out here and sitting out here, they're going to wait for do-gooders to come up with the food and used clothes over here to our left. You can see them sitting
And is
over
that
there.
Catholic Charities that's doing that? Or
No,
just
they
independent
have
people?
other individuals. We had one that we caught, which was LULAC, which is a leftist Mexican organization. We filmed them doing it. Of course, they brought out their LBGT banner for LULAC too. You know, they got to be politically correct
Right.
now.
Oh, the cops are going in.
Yeah, well, they're trying to be a deterrent over there for the neighborhood to our right. They don't want people walking through there.
That makes sense.
And the one lady in that one house that you see, we went and talked to her. She wouldn't interview. She's 90 years old, but she was telling us the prostitution behind the shopping center was egregious. She complained to the cops. We talked to the cops. The cops said, yeah, we got a real problem with prostitution here.
Wow.
Well, think about it. If you're destitute and you can make $20, they'll do it.
I think we might be, well, reserve judgment, but
Yeah, I hear you.
it seems like something might be going on.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Well, I mean, Bob, you really have opened people's eyes. You and George have opened people's eyes to what's going on here. How many more of these kinds?
Oh, here's the bus. Here's the bus.
Holy cow.
Yeah, these are the coach buses. Generally, you don't see these as often. Look at they're
So
full.
what does that mean?
Oh, about 45 people are going to be dumped out here into it. See?
Should we shake their hands and pretend we're the governor?
Yeah. You know, one of the things they started doing on the buses, in the small buses, is they came out here and started tinting the windows very heavily so you couldn't look into the buses.
Right.
But I'll guarantee you there's 40 people minimum on that bus. They usually hold 45 to 50.
Oh, I thought they were going to let him out right there.
No, they're going to let them out in the front, and then they've got probably people there to process them. Now, one of the interesting things is that they have a group called the Interfaith Coalition. It's a bunch of women, and if they weren't scheduling the bus transfers and the airport and those two facilities,
It wouldn't be happening.
Well, they would be out there probably feeding feral cat colonies, right? And so, you know, they're real interesting. They want open borders. They want, you know, citizenship for everybody, and it's crazy. To me, I consider them traitors. They never want to get on camera, though. When we go to the airport and film, we'd film the migrants, and they'd run and complain about us to the airport.
Let's see if we can see people coming off the bus.
Now, if you can zoom in, Jason, you'll catch them getting off.
Yeah, I'm working on that. There we go. So we got porta potties right out front.
Yeah, they say it's very filthy in there. They tried to make the fire department guys clean it up, and they rebelled.
What?
Said that's not part of our deal with
Of
the
course
union.
not.
And so then Catholic Charities took over running the logistics of this after Mayorkas came in town. So you know that the Catholic Charities got a chunk of money out of FEMA to kind of run this and do the security inside there.
It's taking a while to let people out.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get somebody to come up at the door. Here we go.
Here we go.
But you know, you're looking 200 plus people a day come in here, 200 plus people a day leave one reason or another. Now, one of the things that we noticed is if they determine somebody's not Venezuelan, Cuban, or Nicaraguan, they generally kick them out of the migrant center.
Why is that?
I think it's a preference. Now, one of the things that Biden did say, that one of his moments of lucidity when they were reporters were asking him,
What was that, 1986?
what happened is they questioned about the migrants and all that, and he said that the Venezuelans, the Cubans, and the Nicaraguans, he's not sending them home.
But why would he specify based on country
Well,
of origin?
he said because they're dictatorships, they're communist, and they're at risk, and the countries won't take them back. But you know, the big thing is USAID, which is a CIA-founded organization, has $314 million that are assisting in this migration efforts. We have our own money of the U.S. government helping in this. You've got the UN, which we give them money. You've got that one group that we had in that one cast with Charles that was out of Arizona, if you recall, that does Towns Without Borders, that does the caravans. They get like $50 million a year flowing through their books that we
Crazy.
looked at.
Oh, here we go, people coming off.
Yeah. So they go in there, they give them wristbands, they mark them, they give them probably an introduction to how many days they can stand there, about their behavior, what they're looking for. They try to separate the women and the children from the men, though.
Try to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably you go inside there and there's chaos. That's not going to be the Ritz-Carlton.
No. Well, actually, they have cots like you see in the military.
But I'm just saying, in terms of security and privacy and keeping somebody safe, I would bet there's no guarantee of anything once you get inside there.
Yeah, you're probably right. So far, we haven't had any, at least, incidents that we're aware of that were violent at the end of the day.
But if someone is a young woman who is abused by somebody in there under the threat of you tell anybody and I'll kill you, there could be anything
Well,
going
that
on.
did happen.
I'm sure.
Well, what happened is we had a fireman that was taking pictures of the females in inappropriate moments.
Oh.
And they fired him.
Wow.
And we
Why
have
would he do that?
we have a situation where one guy was working security, private security. They didn't do any background check on him. Turns out he was a sexual predator. He'd been convicted several times for sex crimes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So there you go. Who the hell is running this?
Well, people that are not responsible at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Everybody, they look like they're having fun.
Yeah. Looks like,
Smiling.
What's interesting is, look, didn't they just get off the bus and they're walking towards us?
Why are they doing that?
It doesn't make sense. They should have wristbands on.
And they've got some
No, they
blue,
do have wristbands on. I'm looking at them now. I can
some
see them.
blue, like, swag bag.
Well, that's the...
But these don't look like people who have been through the jungle. They look like people who just arrived for vacation.
Yeah. The blue bags is the Interfaith Woke Coalition I was telling you about. They've branded their charity. Now, the interesting thing on the charity is it was, for 5 years working with immigrants, it was an illegal charity. So what happened is they made it legal, and then 60 days later, the city gave them $190,000 of seed money. Now, any of the expenses they have, FEMA is reimbursing them. If they buy tickets, food, whatever.
Why?
Well, to support them.
I don't get it.
Yeah, but look at this with the cars, Jason. Those look like rental cars.
They look brand new, right?
They're rental cars.
You're right, and it's the same model car. I mean, what the hell are we looking at here, Bob?
I don't know. Let's look at that. Small children.
Who is organizing this?
I don't know.
And how big is that organization?
Well, you got Catholic Charities. One of the other things that we talked on that one cast, here's one of the buses right here. See it coming in? It's a city bus, no less. So the city is, your tax dollars are going for human trafficking.
It says
Isn't that
human
wonderful?
Services.
That's right. It should be, they should scratch it out and put trafficking.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So what are they doing here? They're going to get out and give food up. Look at that. Typically that's what they do. They stop there, they open the trunks, and then they start handing out food.
But that's a squad. They've got the same car.
Well, they're two different.
Oh, you're right. That's a Chevy and that's a
Chevrolet and one's
Ford.
a Ford, but they look like rent cars that you'd typically get.
This guy seems to know everybody. And everybody was waiting, right? So they knew they were coming.
Yeah, to get picked up. But see, these people are going God knows where. They complain about DeSantis sending them up to
Right.
Martha's Vineyards. Where in the heck are these people going? And you know, the other thing is, when we interview them, we ask them, when is your court date for asylum?
And they're like, Kay?
Well, we had one that was going to be in San Diego, but the court was in Dallas.
You're never going to come
And then
back.
and then we had another guy that we talked to. He didn't even know where his court date was at.
Come on,
We're like,
this is
really?
ridiculous. This whole entire...
And we ask you, where's your destination? He goes, I don't know. I may just stay here. Well, then he's a ward of the city because he hasn't got any money.
Wow. Wow. And I mean, this is just one spot. This has got to be happening.
Well, what's interesting is that they've cut a deal. I've got a copy of the contracts on the hotels, and they're in hotels. So think about it. You go into a nice hotel over by the medical center, and guess what?
Prostitution could be
You
going
got
on.
you got illegal aliens there in there. Who God knows what diseases that they have, Jason, when you
I know.
think about it.
I mean,
And-
I'm not generally afraid of anything like that, but I find it really amazing, the contradiction in logic that someone would be so freaked out that...
Well,
somebody just-
we had one that we were in the lobby, and he had an IV, and it looked like he had AIDS.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it was incredible, thinking that here you check in, you're paying $200 for a hotel room. Now, we've had two interviews that was real interesting. One guy had spent 11 days because the detention centers, they hold them, particularly the males. They didn't know what to do with him, so they flew him to San Diego for processing and got to stay in Mission Bay in a $200 a night hotel room.
What?
And then they flew him back here, and then he was on the street homeless.
What a weird...
Oh, then the other day we had two females that we interviewed that came through Juarez, El Paso. They flew them to Laredo to process them and then bust them to San Antonio here. And their male companions, they don't know where they're at. So they're going to have to hang around until they get with their male companions.
It just points too much at the traffic. We can hear that really
Yeah,
well.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'll have a better... I should have brought it on another microphone, but I wasn't sure exactly what we would be doing.
Well, this is good enough, I think. But see, they're all coming out now. It's going to be a party tonight.
I don't think we're going to
And you're
stay
not
for that.
invited,
Yeah,
Jason.
I don't want to go. Wow.
Look over here, Jason. Somebody looks like they're helping out.
Whoa.
This is pretty typical when you see in the evening.
Now, if you point that microphone over there, Bob, we might hear a little of the chatter. Just point it directly at them.
Van a estar aquí mañana. Yo tengo ropa, pero es como
She has clothes. She has
tengo pantalones, blusa.
tengo ropa, she said.
Yeah,
Wow.
unbelievable. This is peanuts compared to what we see. Sometimes they come up here with 2 or 3 pickups and start dumping on them. But when you get that, I mean, everybody floods out of the Migrant Center. I've got pictures that show them just swamping vehicles. There's so many of them that are on top of the vehicle trying to get their share.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob, I don't know if it's the wisest idea to hang out here after sunset, which is approaching, but I think
Well, the vampires come out at
right,
night,
that's
right?
what I'm saying. But I think that we anything else we want to share with everybody about this? I think we get a good taste of what is going on here, and people who want to know more about this can see a lot of video on the Bob Bishop YouTube channel. I hope that people will subscribe, check out the interviews that you and George have been doing.
Yeah.
Anything else you think we should talk about over here?
The only thing is, where do you put 5 million people, Jason?
That's what I mean. We're
5
seeing
million, that's
one-
the size of Boston MSA. So housing, food, and at the end of the day, what we're going to have in a year is going to be like LA when we had the El Salvadorians in the 80s.
Oh,
we're
wow.
going to have gangs. These people are going to be desperate.
Yes, that's right.
And I could very well see that we've got a lot of situations. Then you think a lot of them that are ex-military, very dangerous.
Well, that guy over there who put his face mask on when he saw I had a camera, there was an African guy who was glaring at me who obviously didn't like the camera.
Yeah, we've noticed sometimes they'll do that. I guess they're concerned about facial recognition, but they go through it when they go through the detention centers and they get fingerprinted.
I think they just don't want, if they're escaping from something or a criminal, they just don't want anyone to have a record of them
Yeah.
being anywhere.
These two are really suspicious. I've been watching them.
Well, that's the one who
Well, he's over there talking to the cops and stuff like that, so I'm wondering, what are they doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
It just looks like he doesn't fit, the way he's dressed and stuff like that.
I agree, but the
Oh, we're
girl
catching,
is-
yeah. Looks like she's ready to go to a disco or a rave or whatever.
I mean, something is.
It just doesn't add up. And here comes the bus. They're going to go get another load.
So that bus is coming from the airport?
No, it was coming from a detention center.
But this is not a detention center. This is
No, it's where they're trying to help them with their their travel plans. Maybe get them an immigration attorney. Now, we had an issue with one that we interviewed that was an ex-police officer, that the immigration attorney told him that if he learned English, he could become a police cop in LA. We're going like, really?
Doesn't sound like a good.
No, that's not good. Not good at all. So, yeah, I was thinking, let's go get a bite to eat.
That sounds great. Well, listen, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to Bob's YouTube channel. And I really want to thank the viewer sponsors that have made this road trip possible. I wouldn't be here talking to Bob, showing everybody all of this stuff if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. And if you're not a sponsor, consider going to subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth or patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. Become a sponsor and help me keep doing trips like this, meeting with Bob in person, other friends of the show, and helping everybody understand what's going on here in San Antonio. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.